All right, today we are breaking down a single number that can tell you so much about the health of your entire business. We're talking about average revenue per account, or ARPA. Now, it might sound simple, but really getting it is a huge step toward building a more profitable company.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a number that should really make you sit up and pay attention. According to the research we've been digging into, it can cost you up to 25 times more to get a new customer than it does to just keep an existing one. Yeah, 25 times. That staggering figure is exactly why you hear so much about customer retention these days.
And this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of why that 25x number matters so much. As the source material puts it, your customers aren't just one-off transactions. Nope, they are the lifeblood of your company's financial health, not just today, but for its entire future. So let's start with this really fundamental idea. Modern business isn't just about winning the short-term game anymore. It's about this huge shift in thinking, where we see customers as our most important long-term asset. When you boil it all down, things like customer relationship management, or CRM, are all about these two things. Seriously, the research is clear. Every successful strategy out there has to focus on both, getting new customers in the door and, just as importantly, keeping the ones you already have happy.
Okay, so if customers are this valuable asset, how in the world do we actually measure that value? Right? Let's move on and open up what we're calling the metrics toolbox to see how we can start putting some numbers to this idea.
Well, our source material defines customer metrics as basically all the data you track about your customers. And this goes way beyond just how much they spend. We're talking about understanding their purchasing habits, their psychology. You're basically creating a full behavioral profile of them.
I want you to think of these metrics as a little window right into your customer's mind. There's so much more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. They start to reveal what your customers are actually thinking, how they're feeling, and what they plan to do when it comes to your brand.
So when you get right down to it, all these different data points, all these cool tools in our toolbox, they're all trying to answer one single crucial question. Are your customers happy? Because as all the research shows, that satisfaction, that's the bedrock of loyalty and long-term value.
Knowing if a customer is satisfied is fantastic. It really is. But businesses also need to translate that happiness into dollars and cents. We've got to measure their value not just for today's purchase, but over the entire time they're with us.
And this brings us to a super important distinction. Over here on the left, you've got lifetime revenue. That's the total cash a customer ever hands over to you. But look to the right. That is the real prize, customer lifetime value, or CLV. And that's the total profit, the money you actually get to keep after all the costs are paid.
The sources we looked at are really clear on this point. A true CLV calculation isn't just about revenue, it's a measure of net profit. To get that number right, you have to subtract everything: the cost of the product, the cost of service, and yes, even how much you spent to get and keep them as a customer. This is where the real strategy begins to take shape. Customer Profitability Management, or CPM, is the process of taking that CLV and using it to figure out which groups of customers are actually making you money, and maybe even more importantly, which ones might be costing you.
So, CLD and CPM, those are absolutely essential for your long-term strategy. But what about right now? What about a quick, regular pulse check on your business's health?
And that's the key question, isn't it? Is there a simple, straightforward way to just take a snapshot, month after month, of the revenue each customer is bringing in?
Well, the answer is ARPA. It's a fundamental standard metric that helps you see your revenue generation and growth on a per-customer level. This is our snapshot.
And you've got to love this. The calculation is refreshingly simple. As you can see from the formula, you just take your total recurring revenue for a set period, say a month, and divide it by your total number of customers. That's it.
What you get from that simple formula is a clear number that acts like a vital sign for your company's revenue health. But here's the real key. A single ARPA number is a useful snapshot for sure, but the strategic gold isn't tracking its trend over time. Is it going up? Is it going down? That's the story you really need to be paying attention to.
So let's head into our final section and see how this one simple number connects to a much bigger strategy. Because you have to remember, ARPA isn't just a number you track. It's a number that's meant to drive action. This slide just lays out that whole strategic flow perfectly. It all starts with this simple snapshot, ARPA. That number then becomes a critical piece of the puzzle for calculating your customer lifetime value.
And once you have that, you can start to make much smarter decisions across the entire business, from your marketing spend to your product development.
So, here's the main takeaway, the crucial point. That simple, periodic metric we call ARPA is absolutely essential. It is the foundational building block you need to create a sophisticated, profit-focused understanding of who your best customers really are.
And that's the final thought we want to leave you with. Measuring your revenue with ARPA is the critical first step, no doubt. But the real goal, the key to long-term sustainable growth, is to look past what customers spend and to truly understand who is profitable,